Self-improvement is a lie. Welcome back to another video. My name is Andrew. I help people find inner freedom, and today we are going to talk about self-improvement and why it doesn't really exist in the way that our culture acts like it does. I had to learn this the hard way. I spent a tremendous amount of time and energy trying to improve myself, working harder to make more money, doing things to make myself more attractive, to get better relationships. And for a short time, this worked. But here's the problem. No matter how hard we try, no matter how hard we work to improve ourselves, there is a fundamental misunderstanding, a fundamental identification with something that is false, which leads to an inevitable fall. No matter how hard we work, no matter how high we climb in this realm of self-improvement, if we don't understand this fundamental misconception, the whole thing will fall apart. And that's exactly what happened to me. There's so much information right now, so much good information on how to change our lives, how to improve our health, our relationships, our communication skills, how to make more money, how to be a better person, so to speak. But there is a fundamental misunderstanding that causes this information, instead of becoming a gift from life, an opportunity, this becomes a basis for comparison. Nobody gets into self-improvement if they are overwhelmingly happy with their lives, right? So people come to the idea of self-improvement with an implicit belief. I want to improve. Improve meaning something that is not good enough right now. The problem is our identification with our ego, the image of ourselves that we conceptualize as our self and that we project into the world and we show to other people as our representation of us. I want you to think of me a certain way, so I act a certain way. That is my egoic self, my representation. When we try to improve ourselves, almost exclusively, really, we are trying to manipulate and enhance that image we are projecting out into the world to get better results coming back to us. I want more dates. I'm going to go to the gym to get in better shape. We are 3 steps removed from the problem. The problem is I'm not happy where I am in life right now. I project onto that. The solution is a relationship. Then I project onto that. The solution to this problem is I need to make more money or work out more or do whatever to get this relationship, which is then going to make me feel better about my life. And you might say, well, what's wrong with that, right? Like, I work out, I make more money, I get the relationship, and then I'm happy. My life's great. But here's the thing. We cultivate that outer image to garner a specific result from the world. We want to get the relationship or the money or the whatever, and so we fulfill what seems like our end of the bargain. And that's fine if you are not conditionalizing your happiness on it. But what happens is that seeming security that you will find from self-improvement becomes the perpetual cycle of uncertainty, of insecurity. How does that happen? Well, if I believe fundamentally that my value is determined by my success in how good my body looks or how much money I'm making in a given year, if I value myself based on that, as so much of our culture does, we view this as probably the single most important thing about an individual. But there is an intrinsic insecurity that comes with that. I'm playing the hierarchy game, and as long as I'm playing the hierarchy game, I can fall down to where I started. My entire self-worth is built on conceptual rankings that exist sort of in words and a story in my head. And if I have built my self-worth on words, on how much other people are validating me, then it can be destroyed by words. It is not a true sense of self-worth. It is not a truly improved self. My actual experience has not really changed. My true essence is the same as it always was. All I have done is polished up this exterior picture that I'm trying to project out into the world. Here's the problem. This is why you're probably drawn to improvement in the first place. You feel that sort of fundamental, I'm not good enough, I need to connect with people, I don't know how, I just feel like I'm different, right? Okay. You know that. And so you know, deep down, that you are not the person you are pretending to be. So we pretend to be this person so that everybody will like us. But we know that's not really us. So it doesn't fucking matter how much they like that person. They like that person a lot, we still feel hollow because we know that's not who we really are. And none of this is to say that changing your life or improving your life is a bad thing. You can improve your life. You cannot improve yourself because yourself is really kind of unchanging, your essence of yourself. You can change your ego a lot. You can manipulate the image you show people, but think about it. How could you fundamentally change you? It wouldn't be the same thing anymore. If there is a continuity of the you that is experiencing the before and the after, that you can't actually change. There is a you who is currently experiencing one thing, and you would like to experience another thing. We call that self-improvement by I am going to do certain things in my life to change these external circumstances. But it is not self-improvement. It is external result improvement, hopefully, based on the projection of myself, which I am trying to manipulate and project differently. The problem is that that doesn't sell very well. So how would your life actually improve if instead of deriving your self-worth, your meaning, your value from these external metrics, if you had that internally? Maybe you would go to the gym because you value your body and you want to be healthy, and exercising is fun sometimes. Not because you feel compelled to out of a lack of self-worth. You beat yourself up to motivate yourself. So much of our world is motivated by degradation. We punish ourselves to try to move ourselves forward. You can change these things. You can learn more. You can improve your life, improve your relationships. Out of a place of holistic, I'm doing this because I know I'm already complete, not because I'm seeking it and wanting it. It's not conditionalized. There's no more I'm doing this to get this. There is I'm doing this because I want to. It's really about letting go, not about adding more steps. It's about taking a second to stop and look around and think, why am I doing these things? So many of us are stuck in self-destructive patterns. We work jobs we don't really like. We're friends with people who talk negatively about us. We're stuck in behavioral patterns and habits that don't work in our best interest, and we just kind of let it happen because it feels normal. And we keep trying to add more things to change the way we feel. What we need to do is look around. In the one-on-one coaching calls I've done, I've encountered a number of situations in which people realize, oh, I don't have to do more. I actually need to do less. Even when it comes to the idea of letting go, we think, okay, I'm going to add letting go to my repertoire of skills. I'm going to let go of all those bad parts of me and then shine through the authentic self and it'll be great. How do I add letting go? But it's like, it's not another thing you do. It's not another thing you try. It is the absence of those things. For many of us, if you're looking at self-improvement in the first place, that comes with a shock. For me, it was a breakup. For some people, it's a midlife crisis because we pursue, right? We chase this improvement path until suddenly it doesn't work. We chase this ego path. This idea, this projected image of self and building it up and doing what people think is good and trying to have a professional reputation and all of these things until we realize that that is not who we actually are. No matter how much we want it to be, eventually that's going to fall away. No matter how much we want that security that's provided by the label, We are not the label. I am not my name. I am not my age. I am not my history. I am a living creature, as are you. We are fundamentally different from the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. And it is the consistent identification, the belief in the story at the expense of reality. We believe we aren't whole because the story tells us so. We believe we need this approval because we have been conditioned for it, because our society thinks it's very convenient if we are kind of dependent on power structures for our self-worth. If we don't know what to do, if we're afraid all of the time, that lifts many people, many companies, many organizations into places of power where they can be the ones who say, you know what, we'll take care of you because you can't do it. And this is scary. This is challenging. I don't mean to portray this as easy. It is incredibly easy from one perspective, which is that if you see this entire process, if you understand the entire arc of why we disempower ourselves and then seek empowerment, why we are conditioned and how it works, if you understand all of this by examining yourself, by learning how you act, by taking a second to stop and look around, then it becomes very easy. But from the perspective that most people will approach this video, the ego perspective, we would just want to make our lives a little better. We don't want to fundamentally change. We want to hang on to those labels because they feel good. Then it's difficult because we have to face our sort of deepest fears that are, my gosh, this label is never going to change the way I feel about myself. I am going to have to reveal who I really am. I'm going to have to show myself to the world. I'm going to have to drop my arguments and my attachments and my false inner narratives and the image I'm trying to project that I'm perfect and how great I am and all these things I want that are this externalized projection. To truly look at that is perhaps the most difficult thing you will ever do, but likewise the most freeing thing you will ever do, because you realize just how insane most of the world is most of the time. But the good news is that if you've watched this video this far and you don't think I'm a raving lunatic, then you probably have a fundamental kernel of understanding this within yourself. This is not something that is mine. It's a unity with life. It's a dispelling of illusions. It's a dropping of who I thought I was. For so long, I felt so much insecurity. I felt so much shame and pain and self-loathing. I hated myself. Or so I thought, but I didn't even know myself. I hated this false image that I thought I needed to be all of these things. I thought I had to project all of this stuff. And that constant pain, that constant stress, that constant anxiety was so incredibly overwhelming. And I worked so hard, I thought, to improve, to become something more. But it was always polishing up the external picture. It was always trying to be somebody else. And I was caught in that trap that I mentioned, which is that secretly I knew that it wasn't really me. I knew that it was a illusion. I knew that it was a lie that I was projecting and saying, these people are going to love me if I fit in. It was a denial of myself. I didn't give myself the permission to be. I did not give myself the permission to exist and let other people reject me. Instead, I rejected me and then made an image that I thought other people would like and tried to give that to them because I was so afraid. We are so afraid of each other. But the problem is that that means we never have real relationships. In this relationship that fell apart and prompted this whole thing for me a couple years back, I realize now that it was a relationship between my idea of her and her idea of me. Neither of us were real people. We were both trying to project a certain image, and the other person bought it. But it wasn't real because I knew I wasn't that person, and she knew she wasn't that person. So what the hell was actually going on? We were both just lying to ourselves and each other. Not necessarily intentionally, but just the conditioned belief that we weren't good enough and we needed to project. That in and of itself prevents us from truly connecting with people, from truly experiencing life. And it is a fundamental denial of our right to just be ourselves. So all of that said, my invitation to you is not to give up on making your life better, but to give up on making yourself better. Because the self you are trying to make better is not who you really are. It is a story. It is a projection. You can do all you want to make your life better, but the more important thing is to inquire within yourself. Who am I really? If I'm the one who's experiencing this narrative, if I'm the one who wants to improve the narrative from bad to better, if I want to self-improve, which as we discussed is really ego-improved, who am I really? What do I believe about myself? What am I doing here that's making me so miserable? Because that is the path to freedom. Asking questions, not questions that I answer, or somebody else answers, or somebody else tells you how to interpret necessarily, but questions about yourself within yourself. That's what will reveal the power within yourself. I can't give it to you. Nobody can. And anybody who promises that they can help you improve yourself, they're probably intending well, to be honest, but we can't get there without understanding the nature of ourselves and the fundamental misidentification with that ego narrative that we constantly try to project. As long as we believe that's who we are, we're kind of stuck. But there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Once we face those fears, once we stop being trapped in that avoidant, anxious pattern of trying to conform to society, to project a certain image that we think will finally let us fit in. Truth and freedom are not found in that. But in that realization, we get to start looking. We get to start finding where they actually are. And that is a journey that will truly change not yourself, but reveal yourself. And it will change your experience of life. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you have any interest in one-on-one coaching, I do offer that as well, and there's a link in the description. Aside from that, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.